Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to cruise or travel a little smarter. I'm your host, Christy, and clearly I'm not with Lake, because if Lake were here, he would be doing the introduction. But I have the OG with me. Welcome back, Steve.
Thanks for having me back, Christy. And you're doing an awesome job. You shouldn't put yourself down. You do a great job as a host. And I know sometimes it's a little scary to step into those shoes, but you've been doing it for a while now, and you're doing an awesome job.
Listen, I like being the color commentary. I like sort of showing up and just giving my little snippets instead of being the first voice people hear. But okay.
When you heard about this show, I know you've been talking about this show for years, and so I'm finally excited to be able to talk to somebody about this one.
I am too. So let's welcome Lauren to the show. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Christy. Hi, Steve.
How are you doing, Lauren?
Good, thanks.
So Lauren took a pretty epic Adventures by Disney. And where did you go, Lauren?
South Africa.
This is on my bucket list. It's so on my bucket list. It's so on my bucket list that I made a chart, and Steve knows about this, of all the major places I want to go before my son graduates from high school and before he starts college. And I had to make sure that we had a spot for it, and even determining whether it would be a Christmas trip or a summer trip. And based upon the animals, for us, we learned it would be a summer trip. But just how did you decide to take this adventure?
This was supposed to be our 2020 20-year wedding anniversary trip. As we all know, nobody did anything that year. So, but we had put the money in with Disney, and we kept rolling it. And then finally, we was like, well, we missed the 20-year, but now it's 2025. So it's our 25th year trip. And then I looked at the weather and when does it rain and all the things. And we hit on early May, and we actually had perfect weather. We had one of those 2 weeks where even the guys are like, it's never this great. So we were really, really lucky. It was low 80s, 50s at night. Perfect.
So let's talk for a minute, Steve, about what Adventures by Disney is. This is Disney's premium product. It is their answer to guided tours that other travel companies or tour companies do, but with that pristine service that Disney was originally always known for. And what else, Steve? How's it typically, an adventure typically run?
So it varies anywhere from 3 to, I think, up to 12 days as far as the land adventures goes. There are some adventures on the river cruises as well, but we're talking about a land adventure. In this one, you will have 2 guides with you. Typically, it caps off about 40 members. 40 families would be a lot.
Yeah.
But about 40
people.
members. But you could have anywhere from 20 to 40 people with you. So I'll be curious how many you had on this one, Lauren. And I think one of the things that kind of differentiates itself from some of the other higher end tours that you can take is Disney's emphasis on families and also on storytelling. And we say storytelling, and you kind of think, I'm not sure what people think when I say storytelling, but they really do a good job of immersing you into the country and the cultures that you see, and kind of telling the story of the people that live there and their history and where they're going in the future. And that's something that we've really appreciated.
Yeah. And it's always stuff like we've had some people come on to talk about Adventures by Disney before and their tours. And the thing that is the highlight of the trip for most of the people that have come on is never the thing you think is going to be the highlight. Now, in this case, it might be different because, the animals are kind of like the coolest part. So we might need like a second highlight, but it's not necessarily seeing the Sydney Harbour House in Australia. It's actually going to the farm and what the things that family had done, that was their highlight. And it's not always the thing. And that's the part that I think differentiates Disney from other companies, because the other companies can take you to the cities and show you the things but it's like you said, Steve, it's that storytelling. They're going to like peel off the top layer of the city and really look for something unique that people wouldn't necessarily plan on their own. And I think that's what makes it so special.
Definitely. I mean, the one we just got back off on Peru, I remember we were in front of this Incan ruins, and they had the kids do a traditional Incan story. They acted it out. And they got the whole story of what happened there with the kids doing it in kind of a traditional way, and it was really cute, and it was also really cool. It was very impactful. So they have a lot of tricks up their sleeve as far as how they entertain you and teach you as you go along your adventure.
Yeah, so let's start sort of at the beginning, Lauren, of you getting to Cape Town, which is where this adventure begins. What was your sort of travel plan to get there? What was your
Okay.
schedule?
Our schedule. So we are in Savannah, Georgia. So we flew to New York on Qatar Air. We flew to New York with American, then got on Qatar Airways, Qatar to Doha to Cape Town. Our travel got a little messed up in the beginning, so we had longer at JFK than we thought. So I just wanted to say, if you want to go over to the TWA hotel, it's definitely worth it. They had a couple great exhibits, good places to sit, out of the crush of the airport. But yeah, we got there in Cape Town. The Adventures by Disney people were right there with the sign, help us get our bags, and take us in the van over to the hotel. Easy peasy. So
Yeah, that's great. I love that Disney picks you up too. And you added the pre-nights to your ABD trip.
Well, you did that for us. Thank you.
You're welcome. But that makes it easier. But Disney for river cruises, it's not the same. You have to book for Adventures by Disney River Cruises, you have to book the pre-night with them for them to pick you up to take you to the same hotel. But if for the land-based tours, if you are staying at the same hotel and they offer pre-nights, then they will pick you up from the airport early and take you to that hotel. You just have to coordinate that with Disney ahead of time. So in this type of case, it's so easy because you have your room. There's less chance that you would have to change rooms when you do your pre-night that way. And so you can just settle right in.
Yeah, it was great. And it was, even though they're only 6 hours ahead of us, it still took 24 hours or so to get there. So by the time we got there, you're kissing the ground and just being like, thank you so much. Please let me have this hotel room. And they did.
Shower and all the things.
All the things. So they picked the Radisson Blu waterfront. Perfect location, beautiful hotel, friendly, helpful staff, great room service, great breakfast. Can't say enough good things about the Radisson Blu. It was really nice. It's right down from what's called the Victoria and Alfred waterfront, not the Victoria and Albert, which everyone thinks. It's Alfred. It's her and her son. So the great thing about that is it's essentially a big mall. So if you have forgotten anything or need anything, they have, if you need more clothes or you forgot toiletries or whatever, you want to stretch your legs, they have a Woolworths down on the bottom level where we got a couple bottles of water. I know, right? Woolworths were everywhere. We got a couple bottles of water. We got some trail mix and stuff just to sort of have in our backpacks. If you, didn't bring medicine, they have a little pharmacy. You definitely want to pack a little medical kit to take with you. Normally you might just like, we'll get whatever. You want that on this. Probably about a fourth of our group went down at various times from what seemed to be gastric distress. Jerry, my husband, he went down for a couple of days. One fellow was sick enough that the hotel called the doctor for him. I didn't ask. I didn't want to get personal about what his deal was, but he did volunteer that the doctor visited him twice, gave him prescriptions and brought the prescriptions to him. And it was all $350 all in. So at the hotel. So just in case, don't be worried about if you need a doctor, they'll get you one and he will not cost an arm and a leg. So also from the Victoria and Albert, that's the ferry for Robben Island. If you wanted to go over to Robben Island to see the prison that held Mandela, that's where you would catch it. So easy walking distance from the hotel, no problems at all. Because we were a day late, we kind of didn't work out for us, but that's where you would do that. Also for folks that like to have McDonald's everywhere they travel around the world, the McDonald's is also right there. And for people with a lot of money, the Ferrari dealership was right there. So they have everything you could possibly need in this one area. The hotel did tell us walking during the day down there was fine, no problem. If you go to dinner down there, please take an Uber back. They recommend that you Uber. And the few times we took an Uber, it was very easy. It worked just like you expect it to work.
Steve, have you been to Africa?
Yes, but never to South Africa. All of my stuff is up north and into the west. So Egypt, Tanzania, Kenya. But
was that in the military?
Yeah, just in the military. Okay. I did get to do a safari, though, with the military. Thank you, taxpayers. I appreciate it. It was kind of fun.
Awesome. You should get to do a safari if you are in Africa for the military. I support that fully.
But I think that's a good point, Lauren, to point out. So your first day, and I'm not going to jump into it yet, but the first day, you start off at the dinner in the evening. So you're probably meeting your adventure guides during the day. If you get there a day ahead of time, it'd be awesome if Adventures by Disney could send you out just a list of things that because usually the guides have that, like a list of things that they recommend you doing on your free time. But since they don't have that, one of the best things you can do is talk to the concierge at the hotel and get that information as far as like, and I'm not afraid to ask it, is it safe to go here? What would you recommend? So your point as far as Ubering back, go down there and have dinner. It's totally safe, and make sure you Uber back. So make sure you use the concierge. Although the hotels that Adventures by Disney puts you in are very high-end hotels, and so they'll have well-represented concierge to help you out with that.
Yeah, they were great. Speaking of communication with your guides, so before you ever get on your airplane and go on your adventure, go ahead and download WhatsApp, which is not something we use a whole lot here, but you are relying on WhatsApp for communication with your guides the whole way. So when we were checking in the next day with Craig and Joy, our guides, there's a herd of like 10 of us trying to figure out how to download WhatsApp, and the thing is slow, and how do you blah, the whole thing. So just go ahead and already have it downloaded. I already had it. I just gave my phone to Craig, and he did the beep, beep, boop, and we were all together. But there will be times where they're communicating about your luggage, because a couple times your luggage will run just like it does on DCL, where you put it for somebody to pick it up and take it away for you. They also coordinate massages at one of the other hotels, and so they'll talk to you about that. So you will want to have WhatsApp with them. And when Jerry got sick, they were following up on WhatsApp. Is he feeling better? Can we bring electrolytes? Do you need a gate? Like they were great.
I have a question before we move on. What is this a face of, Steve?
Is that who your guide was?
No, I actually had Joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't recognize her without her hair. But yeah, we had Joy.
She's amazing. Anyways.
Her name is perfect for her. She is Joy. She is amazing. She brings so much personality. She's dynamite.
Yeah.
Did
you have her, Steve?
Costa Rica. She was awesome.
Okay. That's so cool.
That's where she was leaving us. She got on the plane with a bunch of adventurers and went off to Costa Rica.
I want to go back to the luggage really quick. Since we talked about, you just mentioned it, let's just stay there for just 1 second. So they take your luggage, but people have like a carry-on that might have, if you had a computer, I don't know if you would take a computer to South Africa, but let's say you had to for some reason, or if you have your medication. Did you kept that in a backpack for yourself? And then you're shaking your head, yes.
So just like cruise line, you're going to pack your big bag. They're going to take it away, and you're going to keep your little bag. Now, Jerry and I only carry one carry-on and a backpack. That's all we carry per person. Other people had, it was like a huge bag, a little bag, and a backpack. No shade to anybody else's packing. Take what you need, but they were bringing everything.
Did you take a carry-on? Was that your only luggage?
Yep. Yeah, we did. We did laundry at one of the hotels. We did laundry. We sent our laundry out at one of the hotels. No problem. Yeah, I'm not dealing with that. Part of that is because I'm tall, and if my clothes go missing, they're not easily replaceable for me. And so I just carry a carry-on. I don't worry about it.
So then on the days that you have adventures though, or that you're moving locations and you have all your like carry-on stuff, what happens to it? Because usually Adventures by Disney
wind up with a bus. Okay. So like on one of the times they moved us, Naveen is our bus driver. He's been the bus driver for 20 years. He is great. Awesome. He owns the bus. It is in pristine condition. This man loves his bus. So like in one of the instances, they were going to do a plane. And so we just had our backpacks, Jerry, and all of our luggage is taken away. Naveen actually drives the luggage up the coast while we fly. And then we get there, and the poor man, I don't even know when he started, bless his heart, but like the poor man is there with all of our luggage, and we're, right back there with it. And that happened because there's 2 interior flights on this one. So that happened twice. But yeah, it just kind of worked out. But because, put what you need in your backpack and then give them the rest. But it's only missing from you for a few hours. It's not like the next day, you get it back. Right. So just if you have medication or whatever, put it in your backpack.
How much time did you end up having before your adventure? Did you end up arriving the day of your adventure or still the day before?
No. So we arrived the first day. I think we arrived at night, went to bed, got up the next day. We have the whole day. So that day we were moving slow. We just went to the waterfront. We checked out all the places. We had lunch. That day was a Sunday. It was also Mother's Day for them. It was also a 10K for them. This place was There were singers, there were drummers, there was art. Like it was great for all of that. But so yeah, we just poked around. We went to Woolworths. We did all the things. Back to the hotel. Wake up the next day. Meet Joy and Craig in the lobby. And that sort of, you have to pick some meals for the restaurants coming up. Download WhatsApp, which was a whole thing. And then we took an Uber over to Christenbach Gardens, which is their huge botanical garden. 2 thumbs way up. So good. So amazing. Loved it. So we spent all day at Christenbach that day. It was established in 1913. They focus on indigenous plants. We saw an owl. Like it was just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful place. So it's really worth a chance. If you're looking for things, Robben Island, Christenbach, like these are some things definitely worth it. And the Uber was like $8. It was $8 there, $8 back. Perfect.
That's awesome. So is it really then on day 2 that sort of your adventure begins then with the adventure?
Yeah, because you check in with them that morning, but then you're done with them, right? And then the next morning, which would be day 3, you have a breakfast buffet, and then you go into essentially a conference room and have your sort of welcome talk and really meet them and everybody else and stand up and say, hi, I'm so-and-so. And they tell you how it's going to lay out and who they are and all their experience and all that kind of stuff.
And I should say, and we didn't, that this is a 10-day adventure. And the first day is sort of like a non-day, but whatever, it's still a 10-day. But the last day, you still do a game tour, right? Before you go to the airport. So it's like they pack it in at the end for sure.
And that day, I don't want spoiler alert or whatever. The game drive to the airport was clutch for us. I don't want to ruin it for anybody.
That's so cool.
It wound up being really important for us. So.
And then Adventures by Disney is a little bit different than Disney Cruise Line because there are minimum ages. The minimum age for this adventure is 6. The suggested age is 8+, and then they do have adult adventures. Can you remind me, were you on an adult adventure or did you have?
We were on an adult adventure.
Okay.
There were about 30 of us. I know that I would say that 6 is too small, honestly. I feel like 6 is too small. And that is from a safety standpoint, because when you're doing the safari park, you're in the truck in these seats. There's no seat belts. It is open. I sent you a video, I think, where an elephant was like 2 inches from my head. Like you're right there. You would not, if you had a 6-year-old, you would not be able to take in any of the beauty because your focus would be 100% on your 6-year-old. So I really feel like that's pushing it. And size, from your kid's size, they're too small. They're going to get flung around in that truck.
We're going to try to do major highlights of each of the days instead of saying, now that we've gotten you there and sort of
right.
acclimated or whatever, instead of going, and then we did this on this day, because it's just too long. And as Steve and I have talked about before, the website, the ABD website this is one area, frankly, that Disney excels. I mean, the website doesn't do anything. You can't book anything. It's ridiculous in that way. But the detail they provide, if you want to know every single thing that Lauren did on her adventure and that what this adventure has, go to the website and read through the pages. It's also a good idea if you want to get an idea if this seems like something your family would be interested in.
Let's go back before we start on your adventure and just talk about the adventure guides a little bit that you had. We were lucky to have Joy as one of our guides down in Costa Rica, and she is amazing. She embodies everything that you would think of as a Disney cast member. And so you're always going to have one quote unquote American guide with you. Although the London Escape, I guess we did have an American. You're always going to have at least one Disney employee with you. And then you're also going to have a guide from usually the country or region you're at. Could you talk a little bit about your 2 guides, Lauren?
Yeah. So we had Joy, who was, as you say, amazing. She is her name. She is so joyful. She is always up, always positive, always going. She carries a backpack that's bigger than she is. Anything you need, she's Mary Poppins pulling that thing out of that backpack. So she was fantastic. Her co-guide was Craig. He is South African. He's been leading the South African Adventures by Disney for as long as they've been doing it, which I think is 20 years. And he says he rotates with another guide who's also been doing it forever. Craig was amazing. He read us the book, Who is Nelson Mandela, on the bus. So we had story time every time. He was able to talk about being a part of apartheid. And he was a young 5 or 6, I think, when apartheid was coming down or, things were moving. He was downtown the day that Mandela spoke, and he spoke about how he really wanted to go and hear Mandela speak, but he wasn't sure, like, were people, when you get in these big crowds and things are political, he wasn't sure, and he was afraid and he didn't go, and how he wished that he had gone. Listen to him talk about democracy and coming out of apartheid for that whole week was so moving and really brought that part of the trip. It gave it a face and made it, even more personal. I cannot say enough good things about Joy and Craig. They are amazing.
And that's the touch. I think we were already talking a little bit about it. So, you probably went into I cannot wait to see the lions and everything else. And you get that other added little touch that they seem to put on each one of these trips. So amazing. I would love to be able to hear that story as well. Should we jump into the trip itself, Christy?
Yes.
So you spend the first 3 days kind of exploring Cape Town, and you have the welcome to get together and everything like that. Your first day, you do several different things. What were some of the highlights of the first day? And how did it come together? How did your group come together? I'm just curious. Did you guys come together at once as adults, or did it kind of build over the time of the trip?
This group was different for me. I've never been on Adventures by Disney before where I didn't already know maybe another two couples.
What adventures have you done before? We should say that.
Nights and Lights, the Italy one that sort of goes all around Italy, Backstage Magic twice. They did one in Norway, one up to the Arctic Circle, which I think didn't grab people's attention. And so it was very short-lived. So we were very, very lucky to have been on that one before it got axed, which is too bad, because if anybody gets a chance to do a cruise like that, I'm sure Christy can hook them up. It's really, you think, oh, it's just the Arctic. And no, go. It's really cool. So the difference with this one is I think some people had just researched who's the best tour guide for South Africa. And Disney was so highly rated that they were on this trip. Now, normally when you're on Adventures by Disney, you're in with like the deep people who love Disney. These folks were, not all of these folks were those folks. And so you didn't have that baseline to sort of ease into conversation. It was more like, so what do you do? Where do you come from? That kind of thing. I had a guy during halfway through the trip or whatever, they were handing out the pens. And he was like, what's the deal with these pens? And I was joking with Dre. I'm like, I'm looking at him and he's looking at me and I'm looking at him. And I'm like, the pens, they're just, I put mine in a shadow box at home with a couple of pictures. They're just a nice little thing. But so not everybody's going to necessarily be Disney centric on this trip, which was a little different. Usually they pick out a cute little kid in the group and the little kid will have like the pen pouch and go around to everybody and have a little job handing them out. But Craig and Joy went above and beyond hiding these pens. And I will not tell you one of the places they hid them because we're keeping it Disney, but my goodness, I was shocked. It was on the safari trail. Oh my God. See, I am telling you now. They hid it in a thing of poop.
Who's touching that?
They had one of the guys. They're like, oh, look, you can see the animal. You can tell from the shape it's a rhino or whatever. And if you pull it apart, you can see the grass. There was a pin in.
No, I don't want poop pin. Well, I just don't.
I mean, the exemplar pin. Yeah. We don't know what happened to that one. They assured us that nobody.
So then the first day, there's quite a few activities, it looks like, this first day.
Yeah, we hit it running straight out of the gate.
What was your highlight of this day?
Oh, gosh.
Looks like, so the activities, at least that we can read, is an aerial cable car, nature walk, District 6 tour and lunch, city walking tour with optional shopping, and then a celebration of Africa dinner.
So let me hit just a couple of things.
Yep.
The cable car at the top of the mountain, all those things, amazing. The District 6 museum will touch your heart, amazing. You do for lunch a restaurant that's way up the side of the hill, so the views out the back are unbelievable. That's amazing. The walk through downtown. So if you're someone who wants to walk a downtown, it's more of a drive through downtown. So if you're someone who wants to really see, I think the cathedral is St. George's Cathedral. If you really want to see that, you need to do that on your own. You're not really stopping. You don't stop where Mandela spoke. They point it out as you drive by. Then you go to a park and everybody gets out. They have a pear tree from 1680 there. Take a bunch of pictures, all that. So the highlight is the dinner for that night. And because some people had thought about planning a dinner on their own to this restaurant. They didn't know that we were going to this restaurant, which is why I wanted to make sure to tell everybody we're going to this restaurant. You don't have to plan it. It's called Gold of Africa, Celebration of Africa. It's 14 courses from all over Africa. All of the servers are from different parts of Africa. They're all wearing cultural dress. There are drummers, there are singers, there's a guy with a puppet thing, there's face painting, there's storytelling. They come in and, there's beautiful slideshows of different part of Africa on the wall. It was amazing. Food was very good, but it was really the presentation of meeting all these different people from different parts of Africa and hearing sort of their different stories that they had. It was really, really cool. I think we figured out if you went there just as like, Steve and Christy are going to this restaurant. You sit family style, they just load the tables in, and then the performance kind of goes on that way. So there's not like a table for two. I think it's all family that way. But I cannot say enough about how cool that restaurant was and how much we enjoyed it. It was really, really cool. Not to take away anything from earlier in the day, which was also really cool. It is a long day, too. By the time you get done with that, you're ready for it.
Hopefully a lovely 8-hour nap.
Yeah, right.
I'm thinking 14 courses. Holy cow.
I know, right?
Well, it was more
Right.
like tapas, little
Right.
plate. So yeah, they're
Right.
not trying to totally kill you.
Well, that sounds amazing. It's amazing the foodies that are on these trips. When we were in Peru, I didn't know if Peru was so known for food. And there was like several restaurants that the people that we were with had pre-booked to make sure that they were able to visit it.
I did not know that either. Yeah.
Well, let's move into day 3. You guys head down to Cape Town. Excuse me, you head down to the Cape of Good Hope, lunch with a view. Then you get to see some penguins and then back to dinner, I think, on your own in Cape Town. Can you talk a little bit about that day and maybe highlight?
Okay, so the highlight is going to be the penguins, right? I mean, yeah, those are really cool. Cape of Good Hope was cool. They give you some history to take a picture. There's a lighthouse at Cape Point. You walk up, walk down. I wanted to highlight that if you do have mobility issues, that hike down for Cape Point, probably not. It's probably not great if you're not, because it's pretty steep and it's gravelly. And, Jerry kept holding my arm just to make sure we didn't have any accidents. But so you just want to be careful if you've got mobility issues. That might not be for you. But yeah, it's the penguins. They're so cool. You walk on the boardwalk and they're just hanging, living their best penguin life. It's so great. And then that night for dinner as a group, we were back at Victoria and Albert's and we ate at a restaurant called Den Acre. That was one of the pre-select meals. Very, very, very good restaurant. You could even eat there another time, when you need to feed yourself and it would still be worth it.
All right. So then day 4, you are still in Cape Town. But you board your motor coach and go to Stellenbosch. And then it looks like you're in the Wineland region. Ooh, I want South African wine. And you have lunch there and then dinner is back on your own. So tell us your highlights of this day.
So bus to Stellenbosch. Craig is still reading us, who is Nelson Mandela. As we get out there, it's a university town. It's an amazing town. Basically, this is, if you want it to be, it's a little bit of a shopping trip. There's not a whole lot of shopping opportunities on this trip. So you pop into the museum, they let you use the restrooms, and then most people went out to either go to the coffee shop or the art store or whatever. Jerry and I bought tickets to the museum, and they do a very great sort of living history museum where you go to one house and was built at this time and the lady's in the outfit and she tells you the things, and then you go across down a little bit to another house and it's a little bit later build till you move up. I think we toured 4 different historic homes and then we ended up in the church. And yeah, it was really, really cool. Bus to the vineyard, the Bachandal. I'm not a wine drinker, I'm sorry to everyone, but the plus is everyone at my table got my wine. And so that worked out for everyone. They do have a little gift shop where I bought some truffles and chocolates that they make there. Definitely get those. We snacked on those the whole rest of the trip. But you're sitting out under these beautiful oak trees with this amazing breeze blowing through. Like, it's fantastic. Then we went to the lunch in the main part of the winery, and we had a speaker come. In our case, and I did ask, in our case, we had Mr. Brand come, who was one of the jailers for Mr. Mandela. That is not always the case. You can't count on that. Don't get your hopes up. But he did come and speak about serving. I think his book is called Serving Time with Mandela, something like that. It was amazing to be able to hear him speak. It was a real privilege. And then, yeah, back on the bus, and we were back at the back at the hotel. And by that time, my goose was cooked, and we just ordered room service. We got tomato soup and some grilled cheeses, and they were really good. So don't be afraid to get room service at the Radisson Blue Waterfront. It was very good.
Well, and you said before we talked that it was very reasonably priced.
Yes. So all the prices in Cape Town, which is a big touristy spot, right? So it would be like someone coming here to Savannah or Orlando or whatever. I was expecting touristy prices, but it was all very reasonable. The Cokes out of the mini fridge were $1.50, which I felt was reasonable. They have water in your rooms. They don't want you to drink the water. You can brush your teeth and wash your hair and stuff, but they don't want you drinking the water, which is my guess kind of about how people kept getting sick. I think they probably just kept getting a little bit too much of the water. So they have water in your room for included in your room. But there's also more water in the minibar that you can drink. And I think that was $2 for that bottle too. So very reasonable. The room service for 2 people was $30. Yeah, you can't complain about that. It was like either drag yourself back down to the waterfront and try and find a restaurant or just order the room service.
These trips are really busy, so don't be. It's no shame in just kind of hanging out at the resort for the day. Or I remember one night I just went and hung out in the hot tub, and it was nice just doing that. So getting room service like you did is perfect. So they do a good job of setting you up and telling you the history of South Africa, apartheid, and everything like that. And now you're going to start making your way towards the wildlife side of it. It looks like the next day you guys get up and you fly over to George, and now you start to see some of the animals where you get to see some birds. And spoiler alert, one of my favorite things is monkeys. So let's talk a little bit about that day.
Okay, so this is an early call. This is a 5 a.m. get up. They give you the breakfast box, put you on the airplane, sort of DVC your bags for you as you get to this little town of George. There's Naveen, your bus driver. He's driven through the night, picks you up, takes you off. First stop is Birds of Eden. Well, no, first stop is to the little mall, the Niza waterfront mall, where people can get coffee and use the restroom and all that. And then you go see the birds. They're all rescues. They are, different kinds of parrots and flamingos and all the things. You walk on a boardwalk through the trees, and the birds are just birding around doing their thing, and they put out little food trying to attract them so you can see them better. But they're just sort of free ranging it. This is the part where I made a special note. I've got a big star next to it for Christy. We leave Birds of Eden. We go to the Brahman Winery for lunch. It was excellent. You're sitting out in the vineyards. It's beautiful. They are, however, known for their bread, which Christy, as we all know, cannot have. But this place, and I was having to be sitting across from the gluten-free fellow, and so I took my opportunity to do some research for Christy. This place in particular did not feel like they could make him a meal without cross-contamination, because they do make that bread right there in the kitchen. So they brought his meal from a restaurant down the street. He said it was excellent. They got him some chocolate for dessert, which who can argue with that, really? And so I asked him, so how's the gluten-free thing been going so far? And just trying to get a feel without being too nosy. But he said all of his food has been really good, that the chef is always out to talk to him. So I think Christy is going to be good to go on that. Then we get back on the bus and we go to Monkey Land, Steve. I do not love the monkey. I got up way too early, and I was dragging, this is day 5. I was really tired, and I was not in the right headspace for the monkey. But we're here at Monkey Land. All of these monkeys are also rescues. The fun part is that they had recently taken in a group of, I think, 100 lemur. So while it was Monkey Land, what it really was Lemur Land at this point. So lemurs, I don't mind so much. The thing about Monkey Land, too, is monkeys will steal your things. I cannot lose my glasses. I cannot. So I left my glasses, my prescription sunglasses. I left my big camera. I left it all on the bus. I relied on Joy and Craig to take my photos for me, because if the monkey had gotten anything off of me, I would have been very sad about it for the rest of the trip. And we are not in there, the speech bubble is still hanging out of Joy's mouth about these monkeys will take your glasses and your things. When one of our group takes off his readers to look at something else, and it is not 30 seconds, and those readers are gone.
Did he ever get him back?
No. The fellow that was leading us through the trees or on the boardwalk, made a valiant effort to try and see if the monkey dropped them after he realized maybe the monkey didn't want them anymore or whatever. The monkey did not. So we tried for about 5 minutes to see if they were recoverable. They were not. And I was just like, see, I told you, that's why my glasses are on the bus, and everything out here is just nice, hazy, sort of green color. It's fine with me. There's also monkey poo on my shoes, Steve.
Oh.
And so Jerry, because he is husband of the year, washed them in the shower.
Sounds like there's too much monkeying around in this day for you.
Wow, Steve.
Steve will also be excited to know that we stayed at the Pazula Nature Retreat, where they have signs out that says "Beware of baboons. They will come in your room." Lock every single door at all times. And people in our group had photos of the baboon, at their slider, trying to come in. So
come on,
they're monkeys for you if you care. There's also a little shop at that hotel, the Pazula Nature Retreat. There's a little shop, and they actually have a couple little handicrafts in there. So it was a good stopping, a little pop-in place. But yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Or pass on the monkeys.
So what is the name of this city that you're in?
Niza.
Okay. So you're in Niza still the next day. This is day 6. You take a ferry ride across the Niza Lagoon. You go to a nature reserve. and you have lunch there. You have time on your own on a waterfront. This ABD, it sounds like they really like a good waterfront. Sounds like you spend a lot of time at a waterfront.
A lot of time on the waterfront.
And then you have dinner.
Yep. So I was going to say that if anybody is gassed out and they need a break, a day off, this is probably your day. For me, it would have been the day before with the monkeys, but that you don't ever go to the hotel until the end of the day. They can't make that work. But if you're completely cooked and you need a day off, you could probably get by and just, it was a great day. It was a beautiful day. For me, the highlight of the day is you can see the Indian Ocean. You can't actually touch it, but you can see where it's breaking up against the rocks. You take a ferry, the nature preserve, hike for better hikers. Jerry took the steep hike. I took the flat hike. And then you just bring the ferry back, go back. There's a lot of going back and forth on this day too, back and forth to this waterfront place that I'm like, it's a little outdoor mall. It's fine. But really it was to see the Indian Ocean. And as you're coming back, the ferry ship captain is telling you stories about all the rich people around there. My feeling it's called the Garden Route. I think it's a vacation spot for people who aren't Americans. Like, I think it's a really popular vacation spot for a lot of people. We've just never heard of it. It was very pretty. A lot of high dollar houses. They were like, oh, this rich person and that rich person and this guy invented bread or whatever. And so I'm like, oh, so this is where the rich people are. Okay. But other than seeing the Indian Ocean, if you need a rest day, and because the hotel that you're at is so beautiful, you're sort of like in your own little individual bungalow, has a water view with a little water feature. Like it would have been a good day to take a break, I think. If you need one.
I was just about to ask you that. So maybe a good one if you're really not interested in getting out and doing the ferry ride or whatnot, just kind of relaxing and enjoying.
The next day, it might be a good one because the next day, Steve, you'll tell us about it. But this is like the day. I think this is the day all the rest of that stuff was amazing sounding. But when you are thinking of coming to South Africa, it is for the big game and for the safari.
So I'll try and redeem myself, and we'll get away from the monkeys and head out to. How do you say it? Is it Kapama?
Kapama.
Okay, Kapama.
Yeah.
Okay, for your stay now and start to visit some of the bigger animals.
So it was amazing. Again, very early call time to the airport. We land in the little town, and so you land in a little airport, and as you come out of the little airport. Like the airport's the size of a Wawa. You know what I mean? Like it's a little airport. The game drivers are there from your hotel, which is literally across the street from the airport. So you're right there. You get in your truck. They tell you which truck, who goes in which truck. You meet your driver and your spotter, and they tell you the name of your truck. Ours was Simba. Normally, apparently they're numbered, but they rename them for us. Ours was Simba, and these are going to be your guys for however many days you're here. These are your guys. I think it's important to know that your driver, in our case, his name was John. He's like your pilot. He is there for your safety. He's going to tell you the rules. He's going to tell you how to get things done. He's going to take good care of you. You need to listen to your pilot. When he says, sit in your seat, sit in your seat. And when he says, we're going, we're going.
Was it your adventure where you had an animal charging the truck?
He was walking swiftly.
Yeah. And the truck had to
Yep.
You sent me that video.
I did.
Get away quickly.
The elephant's trunk, like what felt like it passed 2 inches above your head. Yeah. Yeah.
When they're serious, when they say you have to listen to your guide, sit in your seat when you're supposed to sit in your seat, because literally the truck may have to
move. And it did. Yeah. And it's so easy to get caught up because in that case, 2 younger elephants, they weren't fighting, but they were fighting like kids, where they were pushing back and forth and having a good time. Everybody's there. You lose your sense of awareness or whatever. And, you're not in your seat properly, or you're like the lady in front of me was leaned way over 2 seats to see. And so when John took off, she's going to kind of get smushed down a bit, between the seats and towards the floor or whatever. But the elephants suddenly were like, hey, we're going to jog. And so so always listen to your pilot, always listen to your driver. They will keep you safe. They know where all the animals are. Just relax and let it go. And the other thing I was going to say about it is we are all spoiled by Kilimanjaro safaris. This is, you have to enjoy being in the car. If you don't enjoy riding, this is not your trip, because it can be 30 minutes between things, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of you just sort of cruising around. I love it. I'm from a Sunday driving family. The weather was beautiful. Just slathered on my sunscreen, got my hat, like, let's go. And then suddenly out of nowhere, there's like, oh, a giraffe, and you stop. But they're not right there one after the other. You've got to be happy riding in the truck to see them. So they pick us up from the airport. We meet John. We get in Simba. We do a game drive on the way to the hotel. There's a lunch buffet. You take a rest. And then there's an evening game drive. So it's going to be, for the next 3 days, 5 o'clock call time, or you get up at 5 probably. 5:30, your guy calls you. John says, hey, you up? You're like, I'm up. Let's do it. 6 o'clock, you're in the truck. There is coffee, pastry, that kind of thing to grab sort of on your way to the truck. Here is the deal. If you need the facilities, it's a bush. So my husband, for some reason, I don't understand, thought there must be a little building or whatever sort of out there. There is not. The building is a bush. And there was even some confusion about the girls' bush and the boys' bush. And then it was just everybody's bush. So you may want to take like a Ziploc with some tissues or wet ones or whatever. So yeah, because they also do, in the evening, you do the evening game drive, and they'll stop and do sundowners where people are drinking alcohol. And I'm just standing there like, y'all know this is a diuretic, right? Like, I am not asking someone to pull the truck over. Mate, forget it. So
I will 100% be, and Steve would be 100% be asking people to pull the truck over, and my kid, because we have bladders the size of, but what are you going to do?
You're going to have a Ziploc and some tissues, and then you're going to be fine. That night, the first night, we drove out and they did an outdoor, what we would call a barbecue. They call it a braai, which is just cooked meats on the grill, veg, salad, that kind of thing. You eat with your driver and your spotter. So it was a nice time to get to know them. So my highlight for the day for this were the stars. So you drive back from the barbecue. It's the latest you'll be out of the nights. This is the latest you'll be out. And when I tell you, it looked like when Wally is dragging his little hand through the stars in that movie, it looked like you could touch them. You could see the Milky Way. You could see the Southern Cross. It was so bright that you could see like Orion on one side, and I think it's Scorpius on the other side. It's something like that where you normally can't see them both at the same time because they're both right at the horizon. And it was so clear, and it was so beautiful. It was so, so beautiful. I didn't even care if they keep at night, they'll shine, which is illegal in Georgia, by the way. But there they shine the animals to try and see them at night. I was like, I don't even care. Just turn that light off. I want to look at the stars. It was so beautiful.
Without all the ambient background light that we have in the cities and just most countries, being out there in the savannah or the African savannah like that must have been beautiful.
It was so beautiful. And the hotel is a dark hotel. So they have a boardwalk to get you from different buildings in the hotel, and they have the amber lights down low on the boardwalk. So even the hotel stays dark to help you be able to stay adjusted to see the night sky and for the animals.
So just as an overall, what were there some animals that you were excited about trying to see or being able to see, and were you able to see them?
Yes. And we were very lucky. I always want to say we were very lucky. I was texting Christy. I was texting my girlfriend, Heather, that had done this trip before. Heather's trip, they didn't get to see the stars. We got to see the stars. The leopards are very hard to see and find, apparently. I really wanted to see a leopard. I really, really wanted to see a lion, but I felt like we would probably see a lion, which is what you get for assuming. But we did see a leopard. The leopards are so elusive that the Craig and Joy were like, if you see a leopard, do not tell anyone you saw a leopard. You keep that to yourself until we find out that everyone saw the leopard, because we don't want any hurt feelings about who saw the leopard. I'm like, well, there's always got to be a story behind that, but I hear you. So we were lucky. Everyone got to see the leopard. John drove us into the trees, like you're hunched down, and the trees are coming overhead and everything. And she was right there, gnawing on a little bone. He took my phone because I was 3 rows back. So John, the driver, was closest to her. He took my phone. He took a beautiful video of her for me. Yeah, it was wicked cool.
I love that. We didn't get to see any cats the time we went, and I would have loved to see just some lions, and a leopard would be really special.
Oh, she was so cool. The middle of the second day, they had a snakes and insects person come to do a little talk. I see Christy's not into it.
That is right up Christy's alley. Nice. She likes a good walking stick insect.
So
no, absolutely not.
I thought I had been self-talk because I knew that from my friend who had gone, I knew this was going to happen. I had been self-talking. I'm like, you've had a ridiculous aversion to snakes. This is your turn to be with a snake expert and to give the snake a little rub and make friends with the snake. That is not what happened. I did sit there and appreciate the snake from afar, and that was something. And then there was a tarantula. And when I tell you that Joy put the tarantula on her face.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not, for photos. And it was a whole thing about, look, Joy was afraid of the tarantula. She's going to do that. And I'm like, good for Joy's personal growth. I will not be having any personal growth today. Thank you for that.
That's going to be a hard pass. I don't even know if I can go to the lecture.
Well, see, and that's why I tell you, so you know. But I mean, they're like not close to you, just so you know. They're not.
That'll be one of the things I look down. I just don't look up. This is what during the nature shows with my family, when it's the gross parts, I just look down.
I don't blame you. So the other cool thing about this day is earlier in the week, Craig and Joyce said, if you want a massage at the hotel, we'll set it up for you. So they had set it up. So this was our day. We had a couples massage. It was $80 per person for an hour, which is a screaming deal. But this is the thing. The spa opens out over the savannah. There were hippos in the pool. So there's a swimming pool, like a people pool, on the, there's like cabanas or however treatment rooms, right, on either side of the pool. And then you look out over the savannah where there's a real pool. And there's just hippos. And I'm like, there's just hippos. They're here at the spa, living their best life. And apparently last week there had been 2 elephants. There was a teenager and a mom elephant that were at the thing. So, I mean.
How do you even concentrate or relax with your spa appointment with hippos out there to watch? I would have to watch the hippos.
They were so cool. Luckily, they're not that active. So what you're really watching is and then they come up and go back down and come up. But it was still, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Really cool. Okay. And then we roll into the next day, same as the last 2 days, get up really early, go right around. The afternoon thing for this one was archery. So if you cared about that, this was Jerry's most pitiful day. And so we took the afternoon off and just sort of let him have some electrolytes and some extra rest. He missed the morning, and that was the morning. So Jerry missed the elephants. That's the sad part he missed the elephants. He missed me almost losing my head to a teenage elephant that was fighting with his brother. But he got himself together. And then that night was the farewell dinner, and they do a slideshow, and they had some performers come in and sing and drum and dance and do the whole jubilation for the technical end of the Adventures by Disney. But this one's a little different because there's sort of more adventure the next day. So the next day you get up and they do the game drive on the way to the airport. And we had not seen a lion. And when I tell you we'd spent the whole day previously trying to find lions, and the lions were not having it. And I was like, well, I've been so lucky. We saw a leopard. I almost, really met an elephant. We've seen so many cool things. Like, you're not going to get, we saw the stars. You're not going to get everything. John was not letting us leave without a lion. And so we were out there on the way to the airport for probably an hour and a half, and we got the coolest lions. Like, we got a couple of girl lions hanging out by the lake. We got a big boy lion walking down the road with his mane. Like, I'm the coolest, because, that's lions, right? So, on the way to the airport, we got the lions. So the last game drive, you think, it's whatever, but no, it was lions. It was very cool. And then they fly you from there, from your little tiny airport, to Johannesburg. This was the thing. This is the Disney difference to me. Joy and Craig, we're not done. You think once you land in Johannesburg, you're on your own, whatever. No, Joy and Craig were not done. They stayed with everybody. We all stayed together. Everybody got their luggage off the carousel. They walked us through the whole airport. They were like, don't look at this screen. Don't look at that screen. This screen has a 6 hours into the future view. Those other ones only have 2 hours into the future. They're no good. Look at this one. They told you about these guys in yellow vests going around. It's a bit scammy. Stay away from them. How to deal with that. Yeah, they helped everybody to their gates, got them all dropped off. Because of layovers and that kind of thing, we stayed in Johannesburg another night. It was either stay in Johannesburg another night, or it was and fly straight through home to Savannah, or we would have had to have gotten a hotel and stayed overnight in New York. And I just preferred to do it on the front end. And so we stayed at the Intercontinental, which was right basically in the parking lot of the airport. And they walked us all the way to the front door of the Intercontinental and dropped us off. And so, it was so nice, the service all the way to the end. And the other last thing about the airport that will become important to some people is the best shopping on the entire trip is at the Johannesburg airport. There's not been a whole lot of shopping in this trip. There's been a couple of times where there were like, our little tiny gift shop. But you're always pressed for time, moving. And like the Penguin gift shop was slammed with people. It was like the day after Thanksgiving and there. It was crazy. I'm like, there's nothing I want bad enough in this place to stand in this line. We got to go. After you go through security, they have all the shops, all the t-shirts, all the beadwork, all the ostrich eggs painted with they have all the things. So just don't stress about it and hit the Johannesburg airport after security.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. Because some people do like to shop, and there's not a whole lot of opportunity. So it was nice to know that, okay, you're not, you can still grab what you want there.
So what a great way to put a bow on it, being able to see the lions there as you headed to the airport. Wow.
It was so cool. It was so cool.
So I got a couple like quick questions, Christy, if it's okay.
Obviously.
Yeah. So let's kind of go back. I'll throw this one out. Just, you've gone over so many different tips, but if you put this one in the back of your mind, maybe some more tips for people going to South Africa for the first time, but we'll get to that last. Food overall sounded like it was good. Did you get to try anything different? Like there are different meats like crocodile or anything like that they had?
They had like kudu. So they call it venison, but it's like a deer shaped sort of animal. They had some of that. I'm trying to think of it. There's a little cake. They call it a pudding, I think, from the British side, but it's a little cake, Malve pudding. That cake will show up over and over. And they were like, everybody makes it. It's what everybody has. And like, you try and figure out who makes the best one. The seafood was really good, probably because you're right there on the coast. I was telling Christy, I frequently get ill when we travel, just based on oils and stuff like that when we travel throughout the United States or whatever. So I sort of pick things. One of the reasons we flew from Qatar is with Qatar is because I know they provision the plane from Qatar, and my stomach is fine with that over a plane that, provisions out of JFK. I don't know what the difference is. I think it's cooking oil, honestly. I think I've narrowed it down to that, but whatever. Unlike 1/4 of my friends on this trip and my poor husband, I had a great time. I didn't get sick one day. The food never upset my stomach. It was all so fresh and good. So yeah, I got lucky.
I think you're right. Just from my experiences, when you brush your teeth, do not, because it happened to us in Peru too for some people, do not, make sure you don't use the water. Don't use the water out of the tap to clean your toothbrush. Use the water out of the bottle. I think good points there with the medicine and electrolytes too. How about motion sickness when you're driving around in the game? Any motion sickness for people? No,
not for me. It's bouncy. When I tell you, it's exactly like Kilimanjaro safaris, except the animals are more spaced out. Like they really just lifted it and sat it down in Orlando. So the truck bounce is about the same. You go over the sort of crinkly bridges and breaks, in and out of the hotel to keep the animals from coming into the hotel. It's probably actually slightly less bumpy than Kilimanjaro. Yeah, the safari. But you will go off-roading maybe like we did for the leopard, where you're in the bushes and somebody's truck got stuck and they kind of had to push it back out. So there is a little bit of off-roading, but it's not, but there will be, like we had to do with the elephants, there may be some sudden going. Which is why you want to be seated appropriately in your seat at all times.
And I'll put you on the spot here. What do you think Jerry would say his highlight was from this trip?
Jerry really likes food. He was really happy with everything and getting to try. He likes to try different beers and that kind of thing. So he was trying different stuff as we sort of went along, and he really liked that. I think he was really happy to see the animals too. I think that was part of it. They're the highlight, right?
Was the animals your highlight?
They were my highlight. And that's what I went there for. However, I think the part that really made me connect with this trip was Craig. Him sharing so openly about coming up with apartheid and shifting your mindset and pushing for democracy and being at the beginning of his country's democracy, like seeing his democracy come into being when there was not one before. I just found that so moving and so brave of him to sort of be a part of that movement towards democracy when he certainly didn't have to be. It was really touching.
Wow, Christy, I'm not sure where to go after that. I mean, what
I would say that's your surprising moment, right? That was the unexpected.
Yeah.
Bonus.
He is something else. I don't know where to put it on our whole thing, but yeah, it was really, I was really lucky. Yeah, when we got back, I read Nelson Mandela's book, which I probably should have read before we left, but I also read Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime. Really just interesting and fascinating and sometimes horrifying things. I was really privileged to get to meet him and get to learn about that.
Well, it definitely is a privilege to be able to go on a trip like this. And as we've all known, as others who have traveled with Adventures by Disney know, there's always something like that touches your heart and will make you think back when you think about South Africa that you weren't expecting before you left. So I'm glad you had that experience.
No, me too. Really just lucky beginning to end.
So any final tips at all that you would give somebody that might be thinking about doing this trip? You've touched on so many different things, but anything that you missed that we want to pass on to people?
The last thing I think is gratuities for your guides. They prefer American money. I know everybody always stresses about, is it American? Is it South African? And then we get there and Craig is from South Africa. And I'm like, oh my goodness, maybe he would prefer South African money. And the banks were not necessarily easy to get to, that kind of thing, because you can't just, walk or whatever. But we asked Craig and he also preferred American money. So that just makes it easier. You can just pack it with you.
That's a good idea. Steve, was your Peru trip? How did they want their tips?
This has happened on both of ours, actually, is we've used Venmo, and I've usually Venmo'd the American guide, and then they passed it on to the other guide. That was the easiest way for them to do it, they said.
Did not even think of that.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's what Joy had told us, and then also Lauren on our last one. So
cool. Good to know.
That works too. I was just looking through your messages too, Lauren, to see if there's anything else that sort of stuck out, but I think we covered it. This was so great.
I mean, God knows I got to keep you right there with me the whole trip.
I think my favorite was I'm gently lurking at this gluten-free guy to see what he's eating, to see what his experience is like. And I'm like, oh, you're so nice.
Nobody's killing Christy on my watch. I'm paying attention to everything.
Well, so, what's next for you guys, Lauren?
That was our big trip this year. So we're going to be home for a bit. It may be next January. We might have a trip down to the world to meet up with some friends and that kind of thing. Maybe. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
Well, I know somebody who lives close to the castle you should hook up with. So
I know, right?
We met up before.
We did. We got dinner at Geyser. Is it Geyser's Point?
Yeah, Geyser Point.
Yeah.
Steve knows and loves that place too.
It's good.
Yeah,
well then, Lauren, thank you very much for coming on. And Steve, thank you for coming back. I love co-hosting these shows with you. Steve, where can people find you on the internet these days?
I've kind of pared myself back, but mostly on Instagram these days. You can find me at DCL_adventures, and always trying to put some Disney stuff on, some Adventures by Disney stuff, and it's just some travel things just in general. So you can always connect with me there, and it's always fun to see what the rest of you are doing out there and the travels that everybody else is taking.
Yeah, Steve's content is great. And I feel like it's the highlights of either Disney Cruise Line or ABD. So definitely a good account to follow these days. You can reach me all over the internet at Pack Your Pixie Dust. And Lake has set up a work with me link that is in the show notes and on our website at dclpodcast.com. You can find Lake at MouseGen on Instagram and YouTube, and you can find the podcast on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at DCL Podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening. That's going to do it for this episode of the DCL Podcast. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Well, that's going to wrap up the show. Once again, we want to thank Lauren for coming on and sharing her adventures by Disney in Africa. If you're enjoying the show, we greatly appreciate you leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We'd also like to thank our Patreons who help make this show happen each and every week for us. You too can help support the show by visiting us at patreon.com/DCLpodcast. Whether you're boarding a cruise, enjoying a trip to the parks, or adventuring outside of Disney, on behalf of myself, Christy and Steve, we want to wish you smooth sailing and safe travels. And we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.